Q&A. So basically, I'm just going to give a really quick introduction to the being who I channel. So I channeled this being back in December of 2008. I just started getting into channeling. I was first just kind of being like a journalist with channeling at first. I was just wanting to find out what it was all about. I had a lot of friends who I made online, friends online and in person that were telling me all about who they channel. They channel Archangel Michael, or they channel their Archangel guide, Buck Rogers, or Admiral Akbar from Star Wars, whoever it is. But basically they're able to go into an altered state of consciousness and bring forward this energy. Now basically this is a type of conscious matrix communication itself, but it's a conscious matrix communication that has a focus in regards to an intention of something that is like an identity. I do this because the being that I channel, who I started to channel back in December of 2008, has an amazing amount of information. And people have really talked to him for years now, and they've been blown away because there's been such deep, deep answers that Adronis brings. So again, like Esther Hicks, like Abraham, like Bashar, this is exactly what you're going to experience. Any question can be posed, okay? Whether it's about you personally, whether it's about a general topic, etc. Go ahead and ask it. Sometimes you may not always get the answers. It just depends in regards to the scanning of energy that Jonas was able to do, and he may tell you something about yourself. He may look into elaborating on any other particular topics as well too. But again, all it takes is just about a minute or so for me to bring Adronis through. He's very intense, so I just want to let you guys know ahead of time. There was one time where a woman in the back row, when I was in California, I brought Adronis in, and I like that, she nearly fell out of her seat because the energy was so powerful. Okay? So the energy is really going to rise. For those of you who are very energetically sensitive, you'll feel it. So just be forewarned about that. Adronis does tend to have quite a good sense of humor as well too, so if you feel that you want to crack jokes, go for it. He's a living mirror of yourselves. Okay, so he's basically going to come through, give a brief introduction to himself, and then we're going to go ahead and do the Q&A. How's things going? We're good? Okay, great. And of course, Don is going to be our facilitator, our moderator here. So if you do have a question when the Q&A time comes up, just go ahead and raise your hand, and Don will come through, and I'm going to call you Don for a second. Don is going to come around and hand you the microphone, and feel free to speak clearly into the mic, and have fun with Adronis. Just have a blast right now. That's the best way I can put it. So I'm going to go ahead and use this stand to put the microphone on. Hopefully you guys will hear me okay. Again, Adronis has a very loud voice, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So again, you'll see me going into the channeling state. Don't be alarmed. My body, my soul's not going anywhere. I'm still very much here. It's a conscious state of channeling. So I'm just basically in the background. I'm shutting down my ego, so to speak. We're kind of in a void state. Adronis comes through, and then it's his communication. It's basically like when an actor becomes the part. That's basically what's happening to me. I'm becoming Adronis. Okay? So I'll go ahead and bring him through, and we'll start. Have fun. Hey, can you guys hear me okay like this? Okay. Here we go.
We are here at this time, and we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction with you today. I am Adronis from Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to you all. How are all of you today? Can we hear a little bit more applause, please? That's a tad bit better. We want to thank each and every single one of you for being a part of this interaction tonight with us as we join consciously with this particular conduit, as we share our energies together with him through what he would understand as a thought-form transmission through our particular flow. What you are experiencing right now is the idea that this particular individual, this conduit known as Brad, is able to go into an altered state of consciousness where his mind is literally contained within void as far as the ego goes. Our particular connection is based upon the visualization to where he is literally connecting to different planetary and star bodies. What you would understand as the planet Venus, what you would understand as your own sun, that is then relaying to the star that you would know as Sirius A, contained within the constellation of Canis Major. That is approximately 8.5 light years away from your star. So, what we will do is again give a brief introduction to who we are and why we are here. We simply refer to ourselves as a collective consciousness. That what you are experiencing here through this collective consciousness synergy is that Brad himself connecting with Adronis' energy represents the idea of a PR guy that represents the Syrian collective consciousness, what you would also understand as the Syrian Council, what you would also understand as the Association of Worlds. This is the whole idea in regards to the nature of our relationship, that we exist as what you would know as sixth density beings, which means that we are literally beings of light, that we literally exist within the star of Sirius as light. And that Brad himself is able to, shall we say, relay our energies to what represents our consciousness together with him. And what you get is a simultaneous blending of energies together that represents this form and this interpretation as you see before you. The channeling state can truly be accessed by anybody. Anybody has the capability to channel, but in their own unique way. Does that mean that every single one of you will be able to channel us in the same way that Brad does? No, it doesn't. But what it does mean is that you are able to channel us, but through your own interpretation of how you receive the transmission. Some of you in that sense may be able to dance to our frequency. Some of you may be able to draw a beautiful portrait of art to our frequency. Some of you may be able to sing to our frequency. This is all part of different degrees of the channeling state. Some of you may not even want to interact with us at all in the channeling state, and that's fine. You all have your own guides. You all have your, shall we say, higher dimensional cliques that you can interact with, whether it be your own higher self, whether it be other angelic consciousness, other extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional beings, whether, shall we say, part of the matrix, the universe itself decides to come through you and speak to you in some shape, way, or form. This is all the channeling state. Now here's the exciting thing, is that each and every single one of you are channeling right now. Did you know that? Your own personality is a channeled state. It simply represents what you would consider to be the plethora of everything that you have experienced within your life that has arranged and configured itself to what you would understand as your personality archetype. So therefore, you are a ball of personality from everything that you have experienced on this plane. You are a ball of identity in that sense from what you have claimed yourself to be through everything that you have experienced. From the day that you were a baby to where you are right now is all part of the progression of the personality complex that represents yourself in the channeling state. Because Spirit has no identity. Spirit has no personality. So for you, literally to have identity and personality and characteristics is something bizarre. Something that is channeled. Something that is brought forward from influence. And that's the whole idea in a similar ground with us to Brad, is that we represent a degree of influence in regards to the flow of energy that he is interpreting. So again, from one channel to all other channels, hello!
Hello. Hello.
We thank you very much. And again, we are here simply because this is the agreement between what you would understand as the spirit of Brad's consciousness and the spirit of our consciousness. is that as he continues to learn and evolve and develop himself, you all get to come along for the ride as you learn and develop yourselves. And this is exactly why we're here. We are returning to family. We simply see you on planet Earth as our family, as our star family contained upon this world. And that there are many, 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 many other civilizations that are as vast as your oceans itself, that exist beyond your planet, that have been communicating with you since the day you came on board this spacecraft you call planet Earth, and even before that. So, you have never been alone. You have never been, in that sense, secluded in a large corner of the universe. You have beings coming and go to and fro anytime they wish that come on board your world in disguise, just like one of you, or literally in higher dimensional realms that you are not able to perceive, that are visiting your planet all of the time. We would say that there are approximately 17 different groups of beings that are not naturally born on your world that are walking your planet right now. This is all part of a revealing that's going to take place within your next, shall we say, several years of your time. So, it is a vast, expansive, beautiful universe, full of wonder, filled with population of all different kinds. And you are literally amongst a beautiful galactic seed of life. And in time, you will become more consciously aware of all the beings, of all consciousness that exists, that is aware of you to where you are aware of them. This will all happen as you continue to expand yourselves, open yourselves up to the universal understanding that everything, totality, completion, absolute, in its grandest ways, does exist. But the absolute is relative. The relative is absolute. We mean that in a paradox because everything that you understand as a finite boundary is always contained in infinite possibility. So therefore, the absolute in relative design is the way of the universe. We want to thank each and every single one of you once again for being here this evening of your time. We will now open this up for question and answer dialogue between us and yourselves. So, we thank each and every single one of you. How may we be of assistance to any of you today? We hear a lot of hmms in the crowd.
Hi there.
Hello to you. Do you have a name?
I'm Donna.
Hello, Donna.
I've been practicing channeling, and I put a tape recorder on, and I go into such a deep state.
Yep.
I end up by falling asleep, and then I just hear myself snoring. So I'd like to ask, how can I connect, with my guides or with expanded wisdom in the universe without falling asleep?
All right. Do you have a process that you go through before you, shall we say, record on the tape recorder?
I do breathing,
All right.
just deep breathing to relax, setting my intention.
All right. What is your intention?
My intention is to have my spirit guides communicate directly through me.
All right. So again, it is a work in progress. Now, the whole idea is that they are communicating with you, but it's nothing audible that you would understand. This is why when many of you, in that sense, take a nap, you wake up and you literally feel that you're vibrating even more than a tuning fork that has struck a desk. Simply because you are operating in other degrees of consciousness that you're simply not aware of, to where your spirit guides had a lot to say to you, but it was so important that you were not able to remember. That's the whole idea. Because, now, many of you do have the opportunity to, shall we say, go into an altered state of consciousness and feel that in this very, very deep trance state, there's going to be something profound that's going to come on your tape recorder. And all of a sudden you play it back, and as you hit the play button, all you hear is, well, that could be profound, but again, that's no longer necessary to such a degree with many of you. There are those of you who are trance channelers, and yes, we understand that, but many of you now, through the energies that are contained upon your planet, are literally able to channel consciously. So basically what that means is that as you see this conduit communicating with each and every single one of us, he is still contained within a conscious state of being. His soul is not leaving anything in that sense. He also did something very similar with us in his beginning times of vocally channeling us, that he literally left his computer on, put a microphone right next to his mouth, and fell asleep. And he was disappointed as he played it back as nothing came through. Simply because we said, Brad, that's not your arrangement. That's not how you're meant to talk with us. You're able to communicate with us in a conscious channeling state. Now what we feel with you, Donna, is that you too have this particular ability as well. Is that just by calling in your spirit guides, bringing yourself into a state of centering, you are literally able to receive information translated through thought, coming through voice, to actually bring their information through. Because understand that not always these particular guides will come through in deeper states in that sense, because there are other calibrations going on with you in that trance state that prevents their broadcast from being funneled into your consciousness. Does this make sense?
Yes.
All right. Anything else on that?
It's very helpful, thank you.
All right, we thank you very much. Questions?
Hi, Adronis.
Hello to you.
I'm Trudy.
Hello, Trudy.
I had a question. You mentioned something about vibrating.
Yes.
In makeup. And I have the frequent experience of waking up in the middle of the night and everything is shaking and it feels like an earthquake.
Yes.
I'm holding onto my bed and waiting for it to either get worse or get better. And it takes quite a long time. I checked the
Yes.
newspaper the next day and online and it hasn't been earthquaking. And it's very frustrating because this keeps going on over the years.
Yes.
My son has that also from time to time, and I'm just wondering if that sounds familiar.
Yes, it absolutely does. Because again, you're not alone with this sensation. There are many people that have come to us and said, Adronis, when I go to sleep at night and I wake up the next morning, I literally feel like I'm vibrating so much that I really cannot even feel that I'm oriented to stand up. As soon as I stand up, I fall back down, or it feels like my entire room is spinning or shaking. What's happening? You're literally altering your frequency to such a higher capacity that, shall we say, everything that experienced itself through you during that time of being asleep was such a very strong, high electromagnetic charge that it left you literally in a shake. Left you literally in a point of such higher frequency that as your spirit, as your astral body, shall we say, comes right back into your body and slams, your astral body has been, shall we say, filled with all of this information, with all of this insight, with all of this energy, that from the planes that you visited in that astral or transient body state, as it slams back into your body is receiving the translation of all this shaking energy that's coming through you like a tuning fork that has hit a desk. And that you may feel that your entire reality is in that sense distorting itself. That's basically what's happening. But only through your own perspective. It's very, very similar to how a person would say, oh my goodness, Mommy, do you see that man standing in the corner? He's basically standing like this. And you look and you don't see anything. That's because you're not attuned to the same reality. Your reality is basically showing this shaking, this disorientation through yourself, this heavy vibration that's coming through you and shaking you like a tuning fork. That's the reality that you're experiencing simply because your body is translating the amount of energy that it is receiving from the return of your transient astral body from that time of sleep. It has been supercharged like a highly conductive magnet. And it is basically bringing itself together, and that conducive feeling creates that, shall we say, surprising effect of intense fluctuation in vibration. Does this make sense?
Is there something I should do about it?
Enjoy it.
Oh, it's not very fun. It's scary.
Oh, well, that's the whole idea, is it's just about transforming the perception of it. I really enjoy getting up in the morning and vibrating. It starts my day. It's the most magnificent thing ever. Again, many people feel that they want to control it, but again, really what you're dealing with is energies that are very alien to you. And so it does not feel like you can identify them, and if you try to identify with them, you're still shaking in that way. So the whole idea here is that on a basic level, you can always send yourself blessings before going to sleep at night. You can send yourself love before you go to sleep tonight. You can talk to your angels. You can talk to your spirit guides before you go to sleep tonight, and understand that any particular form of vibration that you're feeling is all meant for your highest, best good anyways. So that's basically what's happening. It's not that this is, in that sense, creating any type of negative connotation to it. You're basically being upgraded. Your whole astral body has been filled with instructions, and it's being sent back into its hardware, representing your physical body. And your physical body is going through these transformations based on what it has received. So enjoy that process. There can always be a little bit of middle ground here, but you're always expecting the unexpected when it comes to these vibratory shifts. All right? We thank you very much. Questions?
Hi, Adronis.
Hello to you.
My name is Marlene, and I have two...
Sorry, your name is which?
Marlene.
Marlene? Hello, Marlene.
Hi. I have two simple questions. First...
Two simple questions. All right. We thought they were difficult.
First, when I get in a state where I'm connected, I start to see light around people and things in a room.
Yes.
But I don't see colors, and I was wondering if I will ever see the colors.
Well, the whole idea is that the translation of the energy that's flowing through you right now is the basis of experiencing light, rather than the whole idea of different colorations. Because when you're dealing with colors, you're in that sense, dealing with differentiating frequencies of, shall we say, particular harmonics or flavors of consciousness through one's mentality. Basically, what you are sensing is through the light, the white light, shall we say, that you are basically experiencing is all part of, shall we say, the vastness of their own consciousness. Sorry, microphone. The vastness of their own consciousness in regards to the expansion that they're going through. So again, this is just your basic, current interpretation of the energies that you're feeling as you're looking at everybody else, for example. You're understanding the light. And as you'll notice that the wider the light is, the more they're opening themselves up to, shall we say, higher degrees of consciousness, and shall we say, are very open-minded people. When you sense that in that sense they are very dim, that there's not so much light behind them, they are often in that sense contained within much of their beliefs, their belief system, shall we say. All right? Thank you very much. Questions?
Thank you. My name's Norma.
Hello, Norma.
I have a bit more practical question.
Do you need to use this microphone, Dawn? If you need to, you can take it.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
I like the big one.
We like it too.
My husband and I have come to a place where we're having to downsize, and we're trying to decide, where to move and what to do with our future.
Yes.
I don't feel like I can ask the question for my husband. He's here, so I'll let him if he wishes.
All right. He can just give you a little nudge like
Yeah. But what I'm wondering is, will our journey take us out of the country, and in what way, if any, will my vocation affect my future?
We feel that much of the location that you're looking to expand is complementary to the, shall we say, career that you are seeking, yes?
I'm not sure of that question.
All right. What we are sensing is that the career direction that will be approaching within your life will be corresponding to much of the traveling that you'll be doing.
It's true that I can do that job worldwide.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, therefore, you're basically tapping into other areas, other locations that in that sense enrich your spark, so to speak,
Right.
to bring this energy forward for more of the acceleration of your career.
Right.
So we do see this happening. It's a very strong momentum.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Questions?
Hello.
Hello.
I feel like our earth is being exploited right now, and I'm just wondering if you can recommend anything to do that would help it.
Your earth is being exploited. What do you mean exactly?
There's just a lot of greed, I guess, in the world that's kind of like
There is?
suffering.
All right, well, let's put it this way. Here's the statistics, really. 96% of people upon your planet are more love than hate. 4% only occupy that of what you would know as greed, as corruption, as, shall we say, depression in that sense. So the whole idea here is that, well, what do I do relating to that? I feel that I'm picking up a lot of the transmission of the greed, of the corruption itself. You're simply altering your frequency to decide what earth you want to inhabit. Because you're not living in the world. You're only living in your world. All there is your world. All of these other people are literally living in different universes compared to your own. You're in your own universe. And so while you're in your own universe, if you begin to see that all of these points of corruption and these points of greed are literally changing you, transforming you, training you to move more into higher ground and saying, yes, I understand that there are some pockets of that on this planet, and I'm going to decide to move into higher ground because I'm rising above it. You have basically shifted your vibration into the earth that you prefer, simply because that's your mentality. Your mentality is to see the upliftment of the earth. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a healing in the park. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do healing on other people. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to speak out and say how beautiful my planet is. I'm going to go out and I'm going to speak to everybody and saying how beautiful my life has transformed and how each and every single one of you can do that too. Does that sound better than a greedy earth? Yes, and that's it. That's how you're literally transforming yourself to go into an earth that you now see as love and no longer as greed. Now here's the thing. That greedy earth is always going to exist. You're never going to be able to change it. It's not possible. The only way you're going to change anything is when you change yourself. Your earth is always going to be the forefront of everything that you are. So if you bring love into yourself, your earth is going to represent that love. It will no longer represent greed, and everybody will follow accordingly in regards to what you are vibrating to. You are no longer vibrating to greed, you're vibrating to love. That's the key. That's how all of you are capable of transforming this planet, is when you choose, well, here's the greed, do I continue to look at it? It's very similar to, in that sense, throwing mud on the wall and just looking at it. And just staying there. That mud's pretty nasty. Well, should I go ahead and maybe clean it up? No, just look at it. All right. And the time goes by, and you're just staring at the mud as it flows down upon the floor. Nothing was done about it. That's what you're looking at. That's the same as the greed. That's the same as the corruption. That's the same as the violence and the abuse. If all you're going to do is look at it, nothing gets done. Transform into a reality that will allow you to do the personal house cleaning of love. All right?
Thank you.
We thank you very much. And a beautiful voice you have, by the way. Questions?
Hi, Adronis.
Hello to you.
My name is Kim.
Hello, Kim.
As you mentioned earlier, I am pretty close to living my dream right at the moment. I'm
All right.
very blessed.
Very close to the finish line, yes?
Not finished, but never finishes.
That's what we mean. For one race that finishes, another one begins.
Right. My question is, the last couple of days I've had this overwhelming sense of grieving and loss, and I can't put my finger on what it is.
All right, grieving and loss. So when we say the words to you, grieving, and we say the words to you, loss, what do you feel in this moment comes to mind?
Sadness.
All right. What comes to mind when we say sadness?
Tears. That's all.
Well, the whole idea of what we're sensing is that there is still something left unresolved in regards to life that represents yourself when moving into that new benchmark. And it's that feeling of, in that sense, following accomplishment, but feeling that accomplishment isn't good enough. And so the whole idea here is that you are expanding yourself into a new territory where you are looking to see everything that's moving into your life in regards to prosperity, but you're feeling that as you move into prosperity, something is being left behind. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's basically being able to look at that, and it's the feeling that others can't join you for where you're going. Others feel that they're in misery, that they're in pain, that they're in fear, that they may be in debt, that they may be impoverished. And you feel that, well, where I'm going, I'm lifting myself up. why can't I lift any of them up? Is that the feeling that you're
That
having?
resonates, yes.
Very much. So again, here's the thing that we're going to say to you. It's not your work to worry about them. We understand that a lot of people, in that sense, are suffering, and we understand that. We acknowledge that that exists, and we always send those people love. They are never left behind in the cold and saying, oh, well, for you, this is what you've created, blah, 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 blah. No. We would love to help those individuals. We would love to be able to share with them what we see them as. What we see all of you as are beautiful beings of light. Beautiful, sparkling, divine, rotating energies of divine infinite consciousness. But you don't see yourself as that. So how can we put this into your minds? We can't. It's not possible. Because even if we sent a telepathic transmission, no, nothing. It doesn't matter, because you're not vibrating to that frequency. And this is what we feel that you're feeling, Kim, is that feeling of, why can't I pick up other people? I'm so happy, I want to share my prosperity with everybody else. You can. It just means that they're not able to see it as you do. Some people will be able to live their life in great prosperity, uplift themselves in the best way possible, but it will never be identical to your own. So what you can do is have beautiful thoughts, beautiful feelings, and beautiful emotional states of how you are transforming and sharing that with everybody, regardless if they want to listen to it or not, because you're happy with yourself. And that is the sharing. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
We thank you very much. Questions? We feel someone sprinting over there. All right, we're glad to hear that.
Hello?
Hello.
Adronis. My name is Maureen. Welcome here.
We thank you very
May
much.
I ask you a question about yourself?
Yes, you may.
I'm curious because you're a being of light.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you're actually in Sirius and here at the same time,
That is
or
correct.
if you travel back and forth.
We are literally, shall we say, at two different places at once. But basically, in that sense, we are literally in simultaneous realities at the same time. Now, very similar to how you would understand a beehive, where all of these columns, where all of these cells are containing different glimpses of perspectives. This is the whole idea of what we're experiencing. Now, in that particular metaphor, it's almost like you're looking at an image, a photograph that has all of these super exposed images contained within it. And we are basically surfing through many of these images while viewing them at the same time in regards to what you would understand as multi-dimensionality or non-corporeal existence. So we are in one reality communicating with Brad in this way because simply to where we exist, time does not exist. It serves us rather than us feeling that we need to serve it. And so literally, we are in many different places at the same time, this being the reality to where we are connected here on Brad, in that sense, as we are a part of his soul essence, and he a part of us, to connect in this way. And so basically, he represents a parallel version of ourselves in another dimension, to where we represent another parallel version of himself in another dimension, and we are basically building a bridge to connect. Does that make sense?
It totally does. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much, and much love to you. Questions?
Hello, Adronis.
Hello to you.
This is perhaps a very follow-up question.
Yes. And your name is?
My name is Kimberly.
Hello, Kimberly. Oh, we have Kim and Kimberly. Hello.
What is the best method for group astral travel?
What is the best method for group astral travel? Well, basically what you are doing is you are, shall we say, going through what is often referred to as dream weaving. You understand this process?
Yes.
Yes. The whole idea with dream weaving in that sense is that it is rarely, shall we say, consciously collaborated. Much in regards to those of you that have much of the dream weaving states are literally encountering other versions of yourself as soul contained within the astral realms, which you would understand as your own dream time. So for example, if Kimberly was able to look at her mother, and her mother was able to look back at her, and the next morning they said that they shared their dream, they described the location to a T, and they both admit to themselves, I had the same dream. Now, mass group astral projections can happen, however, it's all based upon who is calibrated to receiving that transmission. What many of you can do is that you have, shall we say, specific resonators, specific amplifiers, and specific methods that you utilize to bring each other into an induced state of astral projection to literally have a similar experience. Now again, what you're basically dealing with is, in that sense, request. Bringing the request for individuals to come to this group that may have as close to a similar frequency for all of you to share in a co-planar nature the ability of coming together in a mass astral projection state. Now, many of you may use crystals, many of you may use colors, many of you may use mantras, many of you may use other particular types of meditative states, and that's all fine. But the key here is symmetry between vibration of the individuals. So, if that is able to be properly received, you will all be able to, in your own way, move yourself into those astral dynamic states to literally share a dream weaving experience. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Anything else on that?
No, thank you.
We thank you very much, Kimberly. Questions?
Hi, Adronis. I'm Ken.
Ken?
Yes.
Not Kim. All right.
Ken. Hi.
Ken, hello.
My question for you is, am I consciously able to elevate my vibrational frequency? Is it within my power?
To elevate your vibrational frequency, yes. And is there a particular criteria that you're looking to elevate it towards?
No, there's no.
Or you're basically just looking to elevate your frequency, period?
That's it.
All right. So the breath work that this conduit in that sense did with you earlier, how did that make you feel? Did you feel lighter?
I think probably the only result would have been, from the difference in oxygen, maybe I felt a little tipsy.
All right, that's all part of the effect of literally moving to higher frequency. For those who may not be familiar with going into higher frequency, you may feel tipsy. You may feel that you're disorientated. You may feel that you're lightheaded. That's all part of you actually calibrating yourselves to move into that higher frequency domain. So breath itself is indeed one of the keys to moving yourself into a higher frequency state. Also, joyous feelings. If you feel really, really good about yourself, if you did something, perhaps a hobby, an interest, you went to a park, you went to a beach, you went on vacation, and you feel really, really great about what you're experiencing, that's a higher frequency state. Simply because your body's moving in an acceleration, your heart's pumping, you're excited, your blood feels like it's boiling with love. And that's the whole idea. You're moving into those higher frequency states. So go ahead and practice your breath work and go ahead and stimulating yourself into the highest states of feeling to immerse yourself into that joy. That's the natural feeling of higher frequency. That's as close to spirit as you can get in this way, in this dimension, in this body. Or actually, shall we say, the closest version for you to get into spirit in this body is through what you would know as orgasm. Make sense? The whole room went quiet. But it's true, because that literally is what you would consider to be the most profound state of heightening in vibration. It is creative energy. Sexual energy bringing itself together is one of the most powerful energies that you are experiencing. The Egyptians based themselves entirely on this premise in regards to sexual energy and manifestation. So again, however you feel you want to bring yourself into that higher frequency, immerse yourself in it and feel it, even if it does feel disorientating. All right?
Yeah, I know exactly what to do. Thank you.
We thank you. Moving right along. Hello to you.
My name is Rachel.
Hello, Rachel.
I've been seeing a lot of repeating numbers, like 11, 11, 12,
Yes.
12, 4, 4, 4. It's been happening for a while now, and I feel compelled to find out what I'm supposed to do with these messages, but
Yes.
I haven't.
All right. The whole idea is that, shall we say, these are synchronistic markers of, shall we say, integration relating more to your state of feeling that represents your heart space. Now, in that sense, it is true that certain guides will come along and, in that sense, compel you to turn your head at just the right moment to look at the clock to see an 11:11. Simply because what's happening is that your integration in regards to how you're following your life, a synchronicity that's looking to come into your life, is basically being marked. It's a X on the calendar in that sense. It's an X on a piece of paper that hit the spot, that hits the mark. We're not talking about what he said in regards to previously hitting the mark, but what we're talking about here, what we're talking about here is the whole idea in regards to, at these particular marker points, everything that represents your, shall we say, providence of manifestation is coming forward in this way. That's basically what the 1111, the 444 represent, but they are different frequencies in regards to circumstances that are confirming this providence of manifestation coming forward. Make sense? All right. Let's put it a little bit more simply. When you turn to a clock and you see 11:11, and you felt that just before that moment, I wonder if there's a really good sign of me becoming a dancer. And all of a sudden you turn your head and you see an 11:11. There's a marker of providence. Providence basically represents the divine, shall we say, progression of moving into a manifestation of what you have brought forward. So, being very mindful of what you are asking for through law of attraction, as you would understand it, your manifestations that you're looking to bring forward, you will receive these intervals of confirmation that it is in progress. It is a process that's happening that you'll find through many of these dynamics that represent the 1111, the 111, the 222, etc. Make sense?
Yes.
All right, we thank you. So be excited as that happens. That's all part of the marking process. Questions?
My name is also Cecilia. I have felt like my body is a prison, and I am constantly vibrating and feeling flushing, and my heartbeat races. And I know that I'm at the stage right now in my life where I'm transitioning, but I feel like I'm in fear constantly.
Yes, we understand.
I wonder what my first step should be, or what mindset I should go into.
Look at the fear right in the face. That's the whole idea. Because if you constantly run from the fear, you're never going to be able to understand why it's there. So literally, if you feel that fear is coming into your reality, it's about looking at it and saying, fear, why are you here? I'm afraid, in that sense, of leaping forward. I'm afraid of following a life that I deserve. Again, it goes back to the point of looking at everybody else and saying, well, they really don't deserve what I feel I'm going to move into myself. Why do I feel I need to deserve that? And that's why the body feels like a prison. It feels like it's not being treated with the deserving nature that it naturally is. And so again, you're looking at the fear and basically seeing that it is resentment. It is the resentment and the fear of you succeeding, of you prospering, and of you advancing. So look into that fear, give it a hug like you would see a newborn baby, and say, don't worry, fear. There's no need to be afraid anymore. Because as I move myself into love, everybody else around me is going to feel that love even if they don't have love in their hearts. I'm going to be that beacon for that light. I'm going to be that torch that is going to expand. Does that make sense? We thank you very much. Because to you, from us, our perspective, we see your beautiful body as a sanctuary. That's just our perspective. Alright? One thing to remember, everybody. A particular saying that we have shared many times. Reality is by interpretation. As long as you feel that you're interpreting yourself this way, whether positive or negative, it doesn't matter. You have validated that response, and that response becomes the forefront of your reality because your mentality is telling you it is. So, be mindful of how you interpret reality. If you feel down in the dumps, you're only going to create more situations that are going to be down in the dumps, simply because you're not allowing yourself to see the other side. Just like the question earlier about, shall we say, the earth is very, very greedy. Well, there are aspects of that greed, but you also have the ability to flip the coin and see the other side. And that becomes the solution, because now you've looked at the other side that represents greed and corruption and negativity, and now you've flipped it around and it now represents love. You have made that decision to flip the coin. Make the decision to flip your earth. Alright?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Robert.
Hello, Robert.
And for a long time I've been to know, like, who built the pyramids and why they were built. Are they
Two particular, in that sense, bodies were responsible. Beings from Atlantis, extraterrestrials. That's it. Beings from Atlantis and extraterrestrials.
and why did they build it?
They were bored. No, I'm just kidding. The whole idea is that, shall we say, the pyramids that exist on Earth is what we would consider to be a spiritual epicenter, a containment vault of much of the sacred information contained, shall we say, upon your planet, contained often, as you would understand through many different prophecies, under the right paw of the Sphinx, representing the Hall of Records. It was basically what you would consider to be a vault backup based upon the point of premonition that represented the Earth's destruction at that time, to what represented, shall we say, the downfall of Atlantis and the Great Catastrophe. Literally, Egypt was the backup hard drive. So in that sense, it was the epicenter through the pyramids, through the Sphinx, through the Hall of Records, through all that is contained there, as, shall we say, the reinitialization of humanity understanding its own roots. It represents, shall we say, a great deal of energetic upliftment upon your planet. But again, the Great Pyramid of Giza, as you understand it right now, is a six-sided object. There is no capstone contained upon the pyramid, simply because this represents mankind's current state of being, which represents six sides, which is often referred to as duality or separation. But you are moving more into the direction of being part of the five. You're moving into that road right now, which represents balance. As that happens, the pyramid will literally, in that sense, have a transformation take place upon it, which would represent the return of the capstone, which would represent the return of the ancient knowledge from all that the pyramids represent, from all that the, shall we say, sacred vaults buried underneath in the subterranean of Egypt, in that sense, represents that at some point will return to you within your future. All right? Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you.
To tackle one last question?
One last question, yes.
Hi, I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Similar to the lady before about repeating numbers, I see it, it actually drives me crazy and I have to ask the universe to stop sometimes.
Why would you ask the universe to stop?
Because I'm going to get into a car accident, because everywhere I look I'm seeing like the same number patterns.
All right, but again, you're the one looking into the clock, right?
Yes.
So the whole idea here is realizing the universe isn't doing this to get you into a car accident. It's basically attempting to give you, shall we say, shared messages of upliftment nature that basically occurs during these times of driving. So in that sense, what we sense is that you do a great deal of pondering, shall we say, or pondering while you drive your car, yes?
Yes.
Yes. So the universe is answering you back. I wonder if I should do this today, 11:11. Okay, then maybe I should. I wonder if maybe today I should wear my seatbelt, 2:22. All right, well, maybe I should.
Well, you just said 2:22, and 22 in particular, besides repeating, has been significant throughout my life and continues to be.
This is what you would consider to be the master number of the healer.
Pardon me?
This is what you would consider to be the master number of the healer. A healer.
Okay.
Yeah. So, 22 in that sense is basically telling you of your own ability to uplift yourself, to become a natural healer. That through much of your pondering in that sense is bringing about, shall we say, a lot of clear ground relating to much of your percolations of thought that is literally helping to heal you, because as you are asking these questions, the universe is responding and you're noticing this through the synchronicities, which is basically helping you to heal, to uplift, and even share this with others to help heal and uplift themselves.
Fantastic.
All right. We thank you very much. We thank each and every single one of you together here tonight of your time for this wonderful interaction with all of you today. Give yourselves a round of applause. We will as well. Thank you very much. I am Adronis. Adronis from Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all of you who are here with us tonight. Thank you again. Farewell for this time. Again, we now return to the convent. We will speak to you all again in the moment. Goodbye for now. Hey guys. So thank you very much everybody for coming tonight, and the video will be up on my YouTube channel hopefully within the next week or two. A lot of editing to do with it, so feel free to check that out. I'm going to have my business cards here on the table in just a few minutes time if you want to go ahead and you want to ask me any questions about private sessions, which I also do. I'm also doing a lot more speaking engagements, so I'd love to do a lot more groups like this. Hopefully again making sure that I'm talking to everybody and not having my back turned to anybody, and again I apologize for that. But thank you again, you guys were an amazing crowd tonight. So much beautiful energy uplifted. I'm sure Dawn will even tell you that as well too. Beautiful energy is here tonight. Thank you so much for coming. Wish you lots of love.